Okay, so this is the talk through of the paper 1 foundations here from May 2019. So just to make sure you've got the right paper. Right, whenever you turn over your first page, you will always get this formula list. This is just stuff that you can use if you need to, so don't worry about that for the time being. They are not questions. The first question is this one. Now, whenever we talk through these, what I'm going to do is put in red on each question the Corbett Maths video that will help you with this kind of stuff. So once I've talked through this in a second, if you still need practice on this, if you go to Corbett Maths and look for the video 202, it will look at multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000, and that's what this skill is. So 99, skill 99, I'll help you with that one. Skill 123 with this one, and so on and so forth. So the first thing is you are timesing 0.5 by 100. Now remember, when you time something by 10, 100, 1,000, or anything like that, what is going to happen is that your digits will move to the next column along. That's what happens when you times by 100. Times by 100 will move things 2 columns because you've got 2 zeros. So that 5 will go 1 column into the units, or the ones column, and then again into the tens. So the 5 will end up there, which means that your answer there is 50. An easy way, that's what's actually happening. An easy way to think about it is if you move the decimal point to make this number 2 columns bigger. So 0.5 times 100, that 0.5, the decimal point's going to go 1, 2, so it's 50. Either way, 50 is your answer there. Okay. Second one, you are now dividing by 10, so same sort of principle, but both of these digits are going to go into the smaller column. So if you look at your hundreds, tens, and units again, you've got 45, so they're both going to go 1 column to the right. So that 5 will end up in the tenths column, and the 4 will end up in the units column, so they're going to end up like that. So your answer there is 4.5. As I said, any issues with them, look for videos 202 and 99 on Corbett Maths, and he will talk you through that. Okay. Right, the next one, write 0.31 as a fraction. Now again, this will link to this thing. If we write 0.31 as units, tenths, and hundredths, you can see that the decimal finishes in the hundredths column. So you just write the number you've got there over 100. So that's going to be 31 over 100. Which also helps us out in terms of writing it as a percentage, because 31 out of 100, remember the word percent means out of 100. So if this is 31 out of 100, that is just 31%. And again, any issues with them, have a little look at these videos on Corbett Maths, and that should help you. Part C, circle the greatest value. Now the issue with these things is that when you have decimals, it is not just the case that the longest number is the biggest number. If there were no decimal points in here, this one would be the biggest one because it's the longest one. But when you have decimal points, it doesn't work like that. So what you have to do is make all of these things the same length by adding zeros. Okay, so this is the longest number here, which has 4 decimal places. So we're going to add zeros to make all the other numbers have 4 decimal places. So we're going to put 1 0 there, we're going to put 1 0 there, we're going to put 2 zeros there, and we're going to put 2 zeros there. Okay, and then just ignore the fact that the decimal points are there. So effectively look at that as 40,090, 40,615, 46,010, 41,800, and 40,700. So you should be able to see there that the biggest one is that one. That's the biggest value there. Okay, and again, any issues with that, look at video 95 on Corbett Maths. And the last one, work out 4/5. Effectively, what you're going to do is divide by 5 and times by 4. Okay, that's the kind of method. The way that I like to teach this is using blocks. Anyone in my class would recognise these straight away. 4, 5. When you first looked at fractions back in junior school, if you were to ask to shade in 4/5 of this thing, you would shade in those first 4 blocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to model the entire diagram of blocks as representing the number 45. So if I split that 45 up into these 5 blocks, it means that I'll get 9 in each block. 45 divided by 5 is 9. And then because I want those first 4, I'm just going to count that up. 9 add 9 add 9 add 9 is 36. Okay, so that's question 1 done. Right, now we need to have a look at marking. So the mark scheme is this. So you should have this in your booklet as well. Now, notice that for question 1, there's no working out involved there anyway. It's a B mark. What that means is that it doesn't matter what your working out is, you just have to get the right answer. Now that might sound like a nice thing in terms of you don't have to show your working out and that kind of stuff, and a lot of people don't like doing that. But the problem with that is this must be spot on. If you write 500 there, or 5,000 or 5, it's wrong. There's no fallback. You must get that right. So B marks are they're called independent marks. You have to get it spot on. Okay, so whereas all of the stuff that we've done there, all of this should be quite easy, and hopefully it was, you have to get it spot on. Do not drop easy marks on something like this. Okay, so 50 there, so we've got 50 there, so that's right. 4.5 there, 4.5 there. Notice it says OE, that means or equivalent, so something the same as that. So if you'd have written, for example, 4.5, 4.5 is the same as 4.5. That would be fine. Okay, but you cannot write 4 remainder 5. It must be either 4.5 or 4.5 or something like that. Okay. B1 again, 31 over 100 or equivalent fraction. So you could write, for example, 310 over 1,000 if you wanted to. You could not write 3.1 over 10 because you can't have decimals in there. And that one, 31% again, 31% for B2. Again, it's a B mark. You've got to get that right on. Make sure you write the percent sign with something like that. I've seen people lose marks there for just writing 31 instead of 31%. And the final one, part D, oh sorry, there you go. Part C, 4.601. Again, you've just got to get that right. There's no method marks available there. For the last part, there are method marks available. So what it says is M1. That is your method mark. Implied by 9 times 4 or 180 divided by 5, or doing any of this kind of stuff. So basically, as long as they can see that you are trying to divide by 5 and times by 4, you will get a method mark. And then obviously A1, that means your accuracy mark for getting the answer to 36. So our method mark there would be implied by the number 9, because that is 45 divided by 4. Sorry, 45 divided by 5. So we're doing 45 divided by 5, times them by 4 to get to 36. So we've got a method mark in there within the working, and an accuracy mark for the 36. Okay, so that's all of question 1 done.